Hi, this is Mike with TFB TV, and contrary to popular belief, I live in Switzerland. So I have lots and lots of Swiss rifles like this one. Now, a lot of the English language literature and documentation about these rifles is not entirely correct. So I thought we'd start with this one, the first in the series, and dispel some of the myths about it and about what it fires. Now, this is a Schmidt-Rubin Model 1889, the first of the straight pull series. Now, these started to be issued into the army in about 1892, and they lasted until the early 30s. They were actually then drug out of store during the Second World War for the local defence volunteers, for old guys on bicycles in case the Germans came parachuting down. Now, this is a particularly complicated rifle action. It's kind of bizarre, and for the era it's really quite spectacularly overbuilt, and performance-wise it's really rather good. So we've got a 12 round magazine, miles in front of the trigger guard. It's a straight pull bolt with a safety catch, which is the cocking piece, and you can apply the safety catch whether the bolt is back or forwards. And it loads via a pair of 6 round frame charges. Typical of the era, there's a magazine cut-off. They decided to block them, and this one's been blocked. Later, that was in the early 20th century, and it's actually a quick detach magazine. So the sights are kind of optimistic, 300 to 2000 on a quadrant, adjusted by 100-meter steps, and just as a point of reference, we're used to modern cartridges that fly fairly flat. Now this one, if you're at 300 meters and you move the sights to 400, you've moved your point of impact a meter. That's pretty spectacular. It's really long. I mean, super long and heavy. And just to give you an idea how long it is, I'm sitting down. I'm a nice around 5'11" tall, and it's close to the top of my head already. And can you imagine the 5'2", 5'3", 5'4" mountain Swiss guys of the era carrying this great big thing? Now, the bolt lugs are at the back. This is the easy way to tell this one. It's the only one in the series with the bolt lugs right at the back. Accuracy wise, they're not bad, but they're not a patch on the 1911 series and the K31, which came later. Now, where it gets interesting is what it fired. Now, most if not all of the English language information on this says that it fired a semi-smokeless cartridge. This particular one, GP90, Gewehrpatrone 90. Now, this seems to have come from a mistranslation of one of the German words used for smokeless. Now, to prove this, a while back, we put it to the test. Now, this ammunition, I think the last of this was made in 1912, so it's all over 100 years old now, so the primers are unreliable. Sometimes they'll go. If they go, it tends to be pretty click-bang stuff. So what we did was we transferred the powder and the bullet into some modern cases. So it fired one with a standard load of the original powder. We did one with a load of equivalent modern powder. And just for fun, we did black powder, because AIM Surplus a while back were advertising them as black powder rifles. Not true. Now, anyway, the cartridge is, well, the case is basically, it's modern. However, the bullet is this kind of unique, slightly bizarre between two worlds, between two eras kind of thing. They're often described, I think the worst description of these I ever saw in a publication was that they are .307 diameter paper patched FMJs. Nope, the only thing correct there is paper patched. Now, they're kind of strange. You've got an iron cap, or steel cap. Under the paper is soft lead, and it's heeled like a .22 rimfire. So the bit of the bullet that is inside the case is narrower than the bit that's outside. Now, then Wikipedia is totally wrong on the diameter. I've taken these apart, I've measured them up. The lead just in front of the case mouth there measures 0.315 and it's paper patched up to 0.321 thereabouts. There's always a bit of variation with paper. This makes reloading for them kind of fun because you're not finding this kind of ammunition. The chamber in these is designed for this massive great 321 paper bullet so that it can be squeezed down. It's just this ginormous, cavernous, great long taper. If you take a Serasafe cast of one of these, it's really, really very long. This poses a bit of a problem. I mean, they're optimized for that kind of ammunition. Now, in the 1920s, the Swiss decided that they needed some more ammunition to bring up the stocks. These were still in, by then, probably only third line service. And there was another 10 years or so of life in them. So what they did was come up with a cartridge that could be used, that could be manufactured on modern by then equipment. So we have a steel jacketed FMJ. These are about 190 grains, bit under 308. They seem to run about 307, but they're tapered to try and get the best performance out of this really, really long throat in the barrel. Now, because you're not going to find any ammunition in quantity and quality worth shooting, the best approach if you're going to hand load is to recreate something approximating this, whether it's with a lead bullet, cast bullet, or with FMJ. Now, these are close enough to 308 as makes no difference. So if you want to load with FMJs, sort of a commercial 200-ish grain, round nose 308, doing about 2,000 feet per second is going to get as close to this as possible. And now, on an interesting note, you don't need to trim the cases. The early ones, GP90, they're officially 7.5 by 53.5. These are officially 7.5 by 54.5. And the modern ammunition, pointy Spitzer ammunition, is 7.5 by 55. You don't need to trim these cases down. They will, the original length cases will load and fire, but please don't do it with factory ammunition, because these are a little bit on the weak side. Effectively, the locking lugs are so far to the back, you've got an awful lot of bolt there that can compress. So if you've got a bit of a marginal case, this can compress on firing a bit and you get a case explosion, which you really don't want. It would spoil your day rather. Now, the official position was that the GP11 modern ammunition could be fired in an emergency, but they recommended against doing it at any other time. And in any case, it will shoot vastly high because it's sighted for these old, well, sub 2,000 feet per second rounds, which for the era was freaking laser beams, but by modern standards is a rainbow. Now, it's a 3-groove barrel, and if you are reloading for it, I wouldn't bother too much with the exact barrel dimensions. They vary widely. The land diameter is always pretty much bang on 0.296, 0.297, but the grooves vary enormously. I've seen them from about 0.303 up to 0.311. 310 seems to be quite common, but because there's so much variation, don't worry about it. The Swiss certainly didn't. I mean, they were chucking, quite happily chucking steel jacketed 307-ish down it, so you can too. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to TFB TV, and many, many thanks go out to our sponsors, Ventura Munitions and Proxibid, who help to make this kind of content possible. Bye!